Thank you, Tulsi, for clicking on this video. Actually, you probably couldn't help yourself since your name is in the title. I want to offer a response to your question, how much is a little girl's life worth? And I share your concern, your anger, your frustration regarding this systemic problem that we have in our society, and that's child abuse. My wife and I left the Watchtower Bible Tract Society 8-9 years ago, and since then we've been on YouTube trying to expose the Watchtower Society and their systemic child abuse problem. I want to thank you for your courage, and I also want to thank you for putting in everybody's frame of view that the FBI has dropped the ball, particularly in the Dr. Nassar case and the abuse of those Olympic hopefuls. Behind me is an audience that includes thousands upon thousands of abuse victims that come out of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. We keep asking the same question. Why ain't the government doing anything? Why ain't, well, now you can understand, because the FBI is inept in their job. There again, they want to throw a little bone to everybody when it's convenient. Oh, look, we were investigating this judge. He was a pedophile. And then when they go to make the arrest, the pedophile judge offs himself. You see, friends, when even the FBI drops the ball in these investigations, even when you have a pedophile judge, how could we ever expect to have any type of hearing from our government officials? Tulsi, this problem of institutionalized child abuse goes much, much deeper than any one of us could ever have imagined. And these things are being brought to the forefront, but the cry is the same. Why can't we do something about it? You know, Tulsi, I'm going to give you the name of a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called Inspired. The name of the video that I would like for you to watch, it's not a very long one. The title of the video is They Need to Know the Truth. And the speaker is Max Egan. He's in Australia. During this particular video, he makes a comment that 28 members of their parliament are pedophiles. 28 are pedophiles sitting in parliament. The problem is nobody can do nothing about it, because since they're in that position, they pass laws that their identities cannot be made known for 90 years. Don't take my word for it. Go and listen to him. But I do know that there is a problem in Australia with pedophilia and child abuse, because the Australian Royal Commission was held a few years ago, and they looked into institutionalized child abuse, institutional child abuse. And one of the topics, one of their groups that they studied were the Jehovah's Witnesses. And what they discovered and what was brought to light, Tulsi, is that since the 50s, it was reported among the Jehovah's Witnesses that they had over 1,000 perpetrators. Not cases, but individuals that committed these heinous crimes among children. And not a single solitary one of them was brought before the law for prosecution. The Watchtower Bible Tract Society hid them people. This is a religious institution doing this. Now, at the end of all of this, all of these groups that they studied were mandated into joining a redress scheme. They would have put money in a pot to help compensate the victims. The Watchtower Bible Tract Society tried every legal means to weasel out of joining the redress scheme. Finally, being the last institution to join the redress scheme, their hand was forced with the threat of taking away their charitable identity, the 501c3. You see, the Watchtower Society has become a multi-billion-dollar business. And instead of having to pay taxes as a non-charitable entity, they finally joined the redress scheme instead of losing their charitable status. But they held out to the very, very last. This group of people cares nothing about institutional child abuse. But Tulsi, this problem of institutionalized child abuse is much, much bigger than I think most of us can even imagine. And it's sad to say that a lot of our Christian-based religions actually make apologies for this behavior, besides just Watchtower. If you have a Bible, I want to share two accounts with you. One from the book of Numbers, chapter 31, and the other one from Acts, chapter 7. Numbers chapter 31 takes place in Midian. I don't know how familiar you are with the Bible, but having been one of Jehovah's Witnesses for 42 years, I thought I knew what was in the Bible. In fact, I was taught by the Watchtower Society that I knew the Bible better than anybody else on this earth. I could go from door to door and argue any point you ever wanted to argue regarding the Bible. Then I woke up and left, and then I went back and really read the Bible without somebody telling me what it says, how I'm supposed to view it from the purview of apologetics. Numbers chapter 31 is one of those such chapters, and most of your Christian religions won't even touch this because it's too damning. So I'm going to give you the setting. Chapter 31 shows that Jehovah, which is the Christian God these days, or if you're a Trinitarian, is Jesus. Because the Trinitarians believe that Jesus is the same as the God in the Old Testament. Jehovah then spoke to Moses, saying, "Take vengeance for the sons of Israel upon the Midianites. Afterward you will be gathered to your people." Now keep in mind, Tulsi, the Midianites are a seed of Abraham. The Midianites are relatives to Moses through marriage. If you remember and recall the story, Moses had to flee Egypt because he killed an Egyptian taskmaster. So he leaves Egypt and he spends 40 years with the Midianites. His wife is a Midianite. His father-in-law is a Midianite priest. So these are family, these are kin, these are people that Moses knew, presumably for 40 years before he made the journey back to Egypt. Now if you look at a map, it's plain to see that Midian is nothing but a stone's throw from Egypt. But I digress. I want you, if you can, go over to verse 16. Now keep in mind, these are family, these are kin, these are people that Moses knew, and they're the seed of Abraham, if you do your research. Verse 16, "Look, they are the ones who, by Balaam's word, served to induce the sons of Israel to commit unfaithfulness toward Jehovah over the affair of Peor, so that the scourge came upon the assembly of Jehovah." Keep in mind, this is Moses speaking. Go back and read the whole thing. Start with verse 13. "Then Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the chieftains of the assembly went out to meet. And Moses grew indignant." Verse 15. "So Moses said to them, 'Have you preserved alive every female?'" Moses is speaking. Verse 17. "And now kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has had intercourse with a man by lying with a male, and preserve alive for yourselves all the little ones among the women who have not known the act of lying with a male. Tulsi, put yourself in that situation. You're married. You know what it's like to be with a man. Moses is calling for your death. Imagine all the women they captured. And all of a sudden, these women are watching their fellow women be put to death by a sword. How much fear do you think went through those people's mind? How about the little ones, the little boys? Kill everyone among the male. Kill, 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 kill. All the little boys. Apparently in Moses' eyes, these little boys' lives are worth nothing. But preserve alive the little ones among the women who have not known the acts of lying with the men. Imagine, Tulsi, if you was this little girl. You just watched perhaps your mother get killed because she's your mother. Maybe it was one of your brothers that got killed of the little boys. And yet now you are preserved alive because you're a virgin. And now you're going to spend your life with a man, an Israelite man, that's going to have his way with you. But yet the Christian religions uphold Moses as some sort of saint. Instead of putting Moses' name there, why don't you put the homicidal maniac Hitler in that scene? Maybe the whole projection of this becomes a little more realistic in our modern day. This issue is much, much, much bigger than we could ever imagine. Now, go to Acts chapter 7. We humans know, or have come to learn, that in our lives is nothing more truthful than a deathbed confession. And what we have here, Tulsi, is a deathbed confession of the martyr Stephen. Look at what comes out of his mouth just moments before they stone him to death. He's talking to his religious leaders. Let's start with verse 42. You're welcome to go back and read the entire thing in context, but what's interesting is Stephen is quoting from another source. That's what makes this interesting. Okay? Verse 42. So God turned and handed them over to render sacred service to the army of the heavens, just as it is written in the book of the prophets. It was not to me that you offered victims and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness. Was it, O house of Israel? Let that sink in a moment, please. The book of the prophets that Stephen is quoting from is acknowledging that those 40 years in the wilderness at the tabernacle, who led them? Who was their leader? Moses. Okay? Verse 42. But it was to the tent of Moloch and the star of the god Rephan that you took up, the figures which you made to worship them. Consequently, I will deport you beyond Babylon. 40 years in the wilderness, they were worshiping a false god, a false entity. You read this whole thing in context, Stephen is also confessing that they fell into angel worship, and this was all done under the leadership of Moses. That's why this problem, Tulsi, is much, much, much bigger than anybody is willing to acknowledge. I am, because I went back and read this so-called sacred book. I comprehend what's really going on. Because if you put this into the context of evil people, they're going to read scriptures such as what Moses did. And they're going to recognize for themselves, wait a minute, how come God never stopped Moses from saving the virgins? How come God never stopped Moses from killing the little boys? Why not use them all slaves? No, it's kill them. So if you have a homicidal maniac that's viewing these scriptures from this perspective, then what's to stop them from perpetrating any sort of abuse against little girls, against little boys? They know nothing about a God stopping him because he didn't stop Moses. If these people see these scriptures and they think about that, then they know that little boys and little girls are in open pasture. God didn't stop Moses from doing this. And in fact, Stephen proclaims on his deathbed confession they were worshiping a false god. The problem is, Tulsi, is that Christian apologists will dance around this topic, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses continuously dance around their child abuse problem. And it is systemic. So what I'm going to do, Tulsi, is I'm going to invite you to contact us. You can reach us at kimmymbrooks@gmail.com. Okay, let me repeat that. kimmymbrooks@gmail.com. Because what I would like to do, Tulsi, is show you the back cover of the Jehovah's Witness songbook that they published a few years ago. Because the back cover really portrays child pornography. Okay? But in order for me to show you the depth, I have to show you step by step what's here. So if you're interested in learning how the Watchtower Society has an open invitation to pedophiles and child abusers, it's seen right on the back cover, but only those that can see it will recognize the invitation. That's how deep and how prolific the problem is among Jehovah's Witnesses. And like I said, there's a whole audience of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses watching this that are crying because there's no justice, especially in this country. And especially when we can see how the Watchtower Society has lawyers to help get them out of these cases, these lawsuits. Because after all, Tulsi, who really wants to picture a Jehovah's Witness coming to your door on any given Saturday morning with a suit and tie, well-groomed in a book bag saying, hey, have you heard the good news of the kingdom? Jehovah's going to wipe out all wickedness. And they're hiding pedophilia and child abuse in their own organization. So thank you for watching, and I really sincerely hope that you will take some time and contact us. I don't know that you're in a position to do anything. Yes, I'm very well aware that you were a presidential candidate in 2016, and I know that you used to serve as a congresswoman, and I know that you're still in the military as a reserve, if I remember correctly. So please, contact us and let's continue this conversation, but let's do it in private so where we might be able to get something accomplished. Maybe, and I'm hoping, Tulsi, you might have something that I might be able to convey to my viewing audience that something is being done, because as of right now, we can see nothing is being done except for Watchtower using their offices of lawyers to get them out of this child abuse problem. So have a nice day. Thank you for watching. Bye.